Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. It is Markets in the Morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Wednesday, April 10th, 2024. This is Markets in the Morning, where we take a look at the price action of the cryptocurrency market, including the Bitcoin price chart, along with the altcoin market. We get ready for the United States stock market to open up in 1 minute. So we'll take a peek over at that in just a second, along with precious metals like gold and silver and the DXY, or the US dollar currency index. Of course, we'll take a peek over there at the news that's going on out there in the financial world, and then the crypto news, and then hop into the chat and have fun for the remainder of the time. Speaking of fun, it's Wednesday. There's a lot of action out there in the market. There's a lot of red. There's a lot of stuff to talk about today. But still, on Wednesday, we like to have a good time. You made it halfway through the week, working for the weekend. We're almost there, halfway.
It is Wednesday, my
Happy Wednesday, everybody. All right, there we go. That volume was a little bit low. We'll have that corrected for the next time. There we go. All right. Happy Wednesday, everybody. We've made it halfway through the week. And then we'll go ahead and let's go ahead and dive into everything going on out there in the markets. I don't know why viewer activity, it's not showing me anything that you guys have sent in there. So let me address these really fast just before we get going. Annie Phil Pop, before the stream even started, gifted 5 BCB memberships. Brother, thank you so much, man. Don't miss him. Ryan Chase gifted 10. Man, brother, thank you very much so much. If your name flipped green, guys, give a thank you in the chat. Let's go ahead and hop into what's going on in markets. Obviously, we have a lot of action going on here as we kick off the day. Bitcoin, $67,500. We got our inflation data that came out this morning. So CPI was released today. It was a miss. The market is recognizing inflation is returning back to the markets. So CPI was expected to come in at 0.3% month over month. It came in at 0.4% month over month. Expectations for year over year CPI were to be at, let me read these numbers so I do not get them wrong for you. Expectations were that we would see 3.4%. We ended up seeing 3.5%. We've talked about this a lot on the channel with inflation, that it's going to be incredibly difficult to get it down over the course of the next 5 months, at least that year over year figure. I read about this in my newsletter. I was like, if you, over the next 5 months, if you want to actually see a 2.9% year over year CPI, you're going to have to average 0.14% per month. For the last 4 months, we've averaged 0.27%, and here we are. We got a 0.41%. There's not going to happen a 2 handle on CPI for quite a long time, if ever. one day probably, but definitely not anytime soon. So market's selling off as we get that data happen. We saw like a 600-point swing happen there within the Dow Jones. The Dow Jones, as the stock market is opening up, is down 463 points. The NASDAQ is down 198 points. The Russell is down 64 points, which is 3% on the Russell 2000. S&P is down 57 points. It's 1%. So you got the NASDAQ down about 1%, Dow down about 1%, S&P down about 1%. The Russell 2000, the one that will not expand with the rest of the market, down 3%. Brutal happening there. So there's like good things and bad things. So like there's good stuff. So we have good stuff to talk about. I know on a day of red, you're just kind of like, brutal. But there's some things that are starting to get a little bit more clear for me in the market with the range that we're in right now. So I'll share those with you today. But let's take a look over here throughout the market and see where we're at. You got Bitcoin at 67,700. You got a sea of red over here. Let's hop to the stock market really fast. Dow Jones, as we can see, negative 411 points, struggling after getting just above that 4.236 extension, then losing it now. But you can see just a sea of red over there. Are there any winners today? Roblox. Hey, go Roblox. Good for you. Up 3%, whereas the rest of the market is red. You have ARK down 2.5%, Coinbase down over 2%, Ford 2%, Tesla, Nvidia, GE down about 1.5%. You got yields absolutely skyrocketing today. Look at that. Look at that 3-year yield. I mean, we're almost getting back to close to those peaks up in there. But holding tight. So we'll see how that develops here in the coming days. But the yields, obviously, after bottoming there at the beginning of the year, now moving their way back up. And you see that just everywhere throughout in here. Huge, huge moves happening over there in yields right now. Over there for silver and gold. So, well, first of all, DXY back to 104.9. Silver down to 27.7. Still up for the week, though, above all retracement levels. Gold now back at 23.26. Of course, we all know the last couple of weeks have been insane there for gold, getting out into brand new, fresh, all-time highs now as this stock market. Did I lose you? Thought I had. Did I close it? No, I was on the yields. There we go. Dow Jones getting whooped. So Bitcoin 67.7. Others, as we know, struggling there at the 702 retracement. This has been the discussion now for 4 weeks at this perfect pinpoint, absolutely insane nail that we ended up hitting it, and then now pulling back in here. Ethereum 34.36, XRP just north of 60 cents. Total 3. This is the one we're going to talk about today. I'll talk about that in just a minute. But there you go. That's what's going on. So inflation, a clear miss. That Fed rate, bullish Fed rate cuts. Yeah, right. Not happening. But that's just kind of where we're at right now. So Bitcoin obviously has been stuck up here at this all-time high. So we're going to kind of talk about the good and the bad. There's something good developing from what I do see. But it means that there's going to be kind of a temporary pain point here that we're going to have to go through, and we'll talk about it. So Bitcoin has been a difficult read with the structure in here, just from like some simple correction. I look over there on Twitter and YouTube. Everybody's got the same idea for how this thing is going to end up doing a correction in here. I actually think we're much further along than what people do think in Bitcoin's correction, if that's all we're doing is just a correction, because I do see something that would indicate that we could be, and that we're actually through the most of it. We just haven't gone through the worst part. So the worst part is actually the capitulation. So you kind of go through time, and then you go through price. And the price capitulation point is the scary part. Is where everybody freaks out. But this is a difficult read just because of how high it's actually ended up getting in here. You get through all the retracement levels on each of these waves. A little bit of a difficult read. Look at Ethereum. The story is the same thing. Somewhat of an ABC that has happened in here for Ethereum. It's gotten back to a 618 retracement. So could be good enough for just your standard typical ABC to then go on for another leg to wrap up a correction in here. Others, definitely difficult in here. It gets back, it slams the 702, structurally a little bit difficult, but it actually shows up very clear when we look over here at total 3. This is actually practically a crystal clear correction happening in here, indicating that we're probably a lot further along than most people actually do think. So this style correction does actually lead to prices going higher. It does lead to prices going higher. The thing is, we haven't gotten through the capitulation phase of this. So we're going to spend a little bit of time right now kind of talking about these structures. And actually, when we were in 2022, if you guys recall, when the top of 2022 came in, what was the thing I was looking for? I was looking for a retrace to come in for Bitcoin, and we just didn't end up getting one, right? We got this thing, right? This thing doesn't end up doing really anything at all. Ends up getting back to the 382 retracement, but doesn't really get any juice to come out of it to go any higher than that. But we actually have it all crystal clear right in here over on total 3. So I'm going to take these fibs off here and just give you kind of a rundown on what corrective structures look like in ranges. And we've now been in this range since March 7th. So we've been in this range for over a month. It reminds me very much of when we went into a range really just like this back in 2017. We went into one that lasted from like June and July of 2017 as we were heading into the summer. And from here, the good news is these structures tend to move up. The rough news is we're going to go through a capitulation, likely. We're likely going to go through a capitulation. That's where people are going to lose their mind. It's where you actually, in your gut, you feel it. You feel the pain in your gut. You feel the concern that it's all over. You feel this is doom. It's never coming back. That is what capitulation is. That is what the bottom feels like. And you think we're never coming back again and that it's over. And that is where retail typically sells out. So I'm very happy that I have cash on the sides after just kind of being a mockery over there on Twitter, because I think there's going to be an opportunity for me to finally deploy it. I haven't been sitting here putting it back in because I haven't seen anything clearly to tell me it's time. But I think we're going to get that pain point coming. That may be the opportunity to actually go ahead and do it. So this corrective structure is very common. And I'll show you just a very quick example of that time period I'm talking about with Bitcoin from back in 2017 to show you that correction. Let's go on the 4 hour and see if I can get it clear in here. We got to go way back. Here it is. This is a standard corrective structure. So if you remember in 2017, things we talked, or not 2017, excuse me, from those who were here in 2021, we were picking out the top, even on Twitter, expecting one new high, failure, and then you set the next high, and then it really ends up failing out of there, right? That's exactly what this was all about. We made all these comparisons in 2021 and 2022 to talk about corrective structures, and that's how they behaved. And as you can see, that's exactly what we have done here in the market for a corrective structure right now. So it's like we're really starting to work through this correction right now, but we haven't reached that point where we end up screaming that the sky is falling and it's all over and we're done. But this is absolutely a normal corrective structure where we go up, we try to set the high, we fail, and then we end up correcting, and then we go into full-blown capitulation, right? And so full-blown capitulation, as you can see, is not necessarily the end of the world in here, that, it ends up where, right, somewhere down like right here, and then off and away it goes, right? Zoom out on that. Is that big of a deal? It's not that big of a deal, but in the middle of the moment during capitulation, you see it over here. You'll see negative 20%, you'll see negative 30% wicks, you'll see liquidations happening throughout the market, but then it bounces back really quick afterwards if that's the thing that we end up getting in here. And I think we're actually very far into it, right? So the challenge is, how long do we waddle through here before that moment can end up showing up in here? I don't necessarily believe we have to sit here and do that before we end up getting it. But that's what we're going to kind of be watching for here for the coming days or weeks leading up to a moment like that. And so I think it's just going to be kind of like mental preparation for what happens when capitulation does come. And so like I said, I was going to say there's some good news and then there's some bad news. The good news is this is actually a corrective structure that tends to march up higher, right? So that's the good thing. The bad thing is we haven't gone through the bad moment yet. So it's not a time for me to be deploying capital in here yet, because I think we're going to see, like, it's only like we're right here, right? And that there's still going to be that moment where we have to truly capitulate back down, right? And you could see in this one, it just gets down to right here. So that could only be right there, right? It could only be that much. But for the entire market cap of the altcoin market, it's still another 8.5%. And on various stuff, you may be seeing 20%, you may be seeing 30%, right? Some stuff you may only see 5%. Some stuff may not do it at all. Some stuff may go first. But the overall market would end up having some type of correction like that. And this seems very reasonable to me. And it like finally this range has developed enough for me to be able to say, okay, I think I clearly see it in here. And so that's where I think we are right now. And so that actually gives me some optimism. It gives me some optimism that this isn't acting like what happens at the peak of a market. It's acting like what happens in an actual correction. And so I think that's what we're in. I think we're just in a correction. And what we're going to be waiting for is the capitulation. And the capitulation feels like trash. It feels like garbage. It feels like it's the end of the world. And for those who have no capital on the sidelines to take advantage of it, it's just not going to feel good at all. But that's normal. And then we typically end up getting through them really quick. And that's what we're going to be looking for. We're going to look for it to actually reverse really fast. So when it comes to capitulations, we need to talk about like what they're actually like, right? So, and I don't know if we're getting it right now. Like we said, this thing could bounce in here, and then it eventually comes, and so that could mean we still have a week or two before it ends up showing up. But to understand is like once it finally ends up coming, people are screaming the sky is falling, and it's going to be something to think about for those who were here in the last month or two with XRP. Do you remember when we were talking about getting back down to those range lows? And in here, let's do this. In here. Remember how we talked about you get to the bottom and then everybody is convinced that the bottom is actually in, but then there's still one more sell-off that has to happen, and that's the one that finally shakes people. That's typically what we see in capitulations. And that's like the thing we'll be looking for. And I'm laying this foundation now for when we get there. Okay. So that what typically ends up happening is that we eventually go into capitulation. And then when we get to capitulation, we actually see a bounce. And everybody is convinced that one is the bottom. That's it. But there's one more that comes, and many times that is associated with negative news gets time to occur at that time, or there's something that is just psychologically breaking in your mind. It's where it just gets hurt the most in that one in particular. Why that is, I don't know. I think it's because everybody does get convinced that one is actually it. And so that's kind of what we'll be looking for in the time as it ends up coming. So I look at this from the optimistic standpoint of being like, hey, you know, I've been very worried. I've been very concerned with us being back at the 702 retracement here and others. Structure, not super clear. Bitcoin structure for a correction, not super clear. Ethereum, not super clear. But we actually do see it really clear over here in the altcoin market, and that we've done the exact things that you should do to be this deep into it. So we're, in my opinion, much further along. Fortunately, we're further along in this, and the structure is starting to get pretty clear. Now it's just going to be kind of waiting for that bigger moment to happen, and for the weak hands, I hate saying that, to get shooken out at the lows when the pain comes. And so like that, and really it's just a range, right? It's not even like you're really even leaving this range. You can see in here, this thing doesn't escape this range. It just goes right back down to the bottom of it. Right? It's just going like this, but there is something psychological that happens here at the bottom of this range that causes people to get shooken out, whether it's a news narrative or the pain or something, whatever it is. But I'm feeling pretty optimistic now that we've got something very clear showing up in here now. And I think we're much further along than people may think that we actually are. So that's the good news. The good news is this looks like a complete standard correction that does end up marching up higher. The bad news is we're just not done with it yet. So the range is still going to keep going on until finally we get the capitulation. And the capitulation is a big shakeout, crazy moment. But when we do end up getting it, I'm feeling pretty confident today, at least. Now, we'll see how things go as time passes by, and I'll tell you when the time comes. I'm feeling pretty confident I'm going to put money back into the market during that. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm pretty excited to feel that there's more clarity happening from this range, and that we're actually much more developed in it, and it's becoming very clear right now. So that's the good news. So the good news is it's looking like a standard correction. It's looking good. It's just we're not done with it. right? And there's still more time to go. And I've been through these. I know how the market gets. I know that if we get down there and we do this whole thing, psychologically, it won't feel good. It just won't. So if you're prepared for it way ahead of time, it would be better. But for people going through it for the first time, it won't feel good at all. But I'm personally going to be sitting there ready to take advantage of it if it gets offered. So I'm actually on a massively red day. I'm feeling pretty optimistic out there that we have a pretty clear structure happening in here. So I'm a little bit relieved and excited to see that happening, especially you guys know with how stressed I've been with it being back at the 702 retracement, looking for something clear to show up in here. And others is probably going to correct down too, right? And this is not going to be numb to it. Bitcoin's not going to be numb to it. Ethereum's not going to be numb to it. But, getting there. And so that's really where I think we are. I think we're just kind of marching along, waiting for the capitulation to come through. And when it does, the market will be screaming. Twitter will be screaming. Everybody will say the sky is falling. But that's the opportunity. And I think the thing that just makes me super excited is this is a standard continuation correction. So, it. I've been stressed as can be with this thing back at here. I do like seeing it. So I just don't think we're done. So it's the good news. The good news is this is a standard correction structure so far. The bad news is we haven't finished it, and to kind of get mentally prepared for it, and that there still could be a couple weeks left in here before it ends up playing itself out. Timing's impossible to predict, but you could see it. We'll watch it every day. We'll see how we do as we get closer to it, and that'll be that. So I hope that offers a little bit of clarity to people. It does to me, at least. So I'm happy to see it. All right, here we go. As inflation creates a sell-off throughout markets, we've got Bitcoin at 67,400, others at 312, Ethereum at 34.31, XRP now at 59.84, total 708 billion. Gold at 23.26, silver 27.75, Dow Jones Slaughtertown, negative 500 points there for the Dow Jones Industrial Average, negative 200 points there for the NASDAQ, negative 60 for the S&P. These are all about 1.3%, 1.1 to 1.3% there for the major indexes. RTY, the Russell 2000, down 2.75%, with the DXY now eclipsing 105, yields spiking out of control, and our only one over. Oh, we got NVIDIA. NVIDIA goes green. It refuses to give up. Roblox in the green, NVIDIA in the green as well. It looks like GE is fighting for it too, but Ford, Tesla, ARK, Caterpillar, Microsoft, Apple, and Google and Amazon all over 1% to the downside as this thing kicks in. There you go, DXY 105. All right, let's hop on into the news and what's going on out there in the markets. We got consumer prices rose 3.5% from a year ago in March, more than expected. I think we pretty much said that exact thing yesterday, that we would look for that headline to be right there. 10-year Treasury yield jumps back above 4.5% after March inflation tops estimates. Dow futures dropped 400 points after hot inflation report spikes yields. That's like the exact same thing. There you go. Alibaba shares jump after founder Jack Ma reemerges with praise of Chinese giants Transformers. NVIDIA enters correction territory as stock falls 10% from all-time highs. That was the news everywhere. And then look at the sell-off happening in the markets, and NVIDIA's green. New York Community Bank's online arm is paying the nation's highest interest rates. There are green shoots appearing in the IPO market. Here are the stocks to watch. Okay, they're going public. Okay. Cointelegraph, what you got for us? Retail interest in crypto is quite low compared to the last bull run. That's because retail comes in at the top. We've talked about this before. The class of 2021, hey, you're the same as the class of 2017 and 2018. There's nothing to be ashamed about. That's just how it ends up going. There will be a class of 2024, and they will come in at the top when retail interest peaks. Bitcoin having to fuel a raging fire sale of crypto assets, says Arthur Hayes. Okay. Bitcoin halving could be a sell the news event, at least for a few months. Bitcoin surged to 72K, driven by macro factors, not just spot Bitcoin ETF inflows. No kidding. Bitcoin surge to 72K is driven by macro factors, not just spot Bitcoin ETF flows. No way, man. All right, with 10 days to the halving, analyst predicts 150K Bitcoin top. I love how they've covered all the different all the different things here. Right? Oh, I missed some stuff in here. The Bitcoin halving is to fuel a raging fire sale. With 10 days to the halving, the analysts predict 150K Bitcoin top. You've got the fire sale and you got the moon. The halving could be sell the news, or it could be mooning to 150K. Okay. Retail interest is quite low. Bitcoin spot volumes confirmed. Crypto markets euphoric phase. Glassnode. Yep. I saw TXMC post something like that over there on Twitter yesterday too, that you've got some overheated stuff, and it actually pointed to, of course, like TXMC is the on-chain gangster. That the on-chain stuff even indicates this, like we've been talking about here on the channel. But he is your go-to guy for any of that, for sure. All right, YouTuber declines 7-figure sponsorships after FTX scandal. Brian Jung, Hall of Fame. Biden's mining tax is the least sensible part of his 2023 budget proposal. Bitcoin miners may fear the halving, but they cherish it too. Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of weeding out that happens, right? Some businesses fail, they can't continue to mine while others are successful, and they can take over their leftover business. It all pans out. All right. There you go. That covers it, right? Solana devs target April 15th for failed transaction fix. It's not a design flaw. Yeah, on the note, tomorrow there's going to be the automatic market maker amendment going live over there on the XRP ledger. So that'll be something we'll be paying attention to tomorrow. All right, looking over there at CoinDesk, US CPI comes in faster than hoped, rising 0.4% in March, which is 3.5% year over year. Bitcoin breakout halts as U.S. inflation data looms. The Bureau of Labor Statistics is set to release March 2024 CPI data Wednesday. Yeah, we've already gotten it. So, all right, there's your news. I didn't see anything except, inflation's hot. The Fed, 99.8% probability they will be paused at the May meeting. Oh, look at that. Not even a 71% chance of them cutting until we get till September. So no cuts in May, June, or July. Maybe in September. And of course, that's the last one before the election. So there you go. You got bullish cuts. Yeah, right. All right, Bitcoin back to 68,100. Hey, you got BNB flipping into the green over there. So you got a little bit of bouncing happening in there, a little bit of recovery after some wild action happening in there. Again, this will be the thing that we're kind of paying attention to for the coming weeks, waiting for things to kind of settle out and go for the big event, and then try to scoop up the fear. But okay, one more quick look over there throughout markets before we hop into the chat. The Dow down 462 points, which is 1.18%. The S&P is down 49 points, which is 0.95%. NASDAQ down 153, which is 0.84%. And the Russell 2000 is down 53 points, which is 2.56%. Slightly improved from what it was at the open. Look at that. You got some green over here now. Roblox, Nvidia, Coinbase, and Meta all in the green, with Roblox leading at 3%, followed by Nvidia at 2%, Coinbase at almost at 2%, and Meta at about 0.5%. Slight improvements happening in here now that the markets actually have opened. Again, yields, treasury yields, crazy. 27.84 for silver, 23.31 for gold. And with news, everything is about inflation. Like we said for a long time, the Fed is checkmated on that whole thing. And so we're seeing the general narrative start to kind of wake up to it, that the Fed is checkmated when it comes to bullish cuts that people are wanting. And again, pausing has been okay. Go throughout history. Pausing has been okay. Good luck finding references in the QE era of the last 20, 25 years to see bullish cuts out there. It doesn't exist. So there you go. Things are things are okay. I think we're just going to have some time to go through here. Fortunately, it looks like we have a pretty standard correction in here, but we're just not done with it. And it's going to be a little whiles to go before we can end up getting our ways down in there. So that's it. That's it. I think things are all right. Just going to be kind of a waiting game in here. Again, for me, it's optimistic, as you know it. I've been just utterly unsettled as we've gotten back in here. But I am pleased to see something that looks familiar happening finally. And I think we're further along than most people think. I think most people think we still haven't gotten to this phase yet, but that we actually already have, and that we've already gone back. We've done like the retracement happening in here. Right. We've already gotten back. Shifting back down to the lows. And now just kind of the waddle before capitulation can set in. And then this is typically a continuation correction. So we got some time. We're going to have to wait it out. There's still going to be that moment of utter fear that everybody has. And people are screaming and moaning. But we're looking at it through this lens. And I'm excited to see it really starting to develop. So what's always difficult about ranges, right? We have to kind of wait for them to really start to develop out and get clear. And in the middle of it, everybody's like, tell me what it's going to be. Tell me what it's going to be. And we just got to get a little bit more clarity to start emerging throughout the range for it to get developed. And it looks like we're starting to really get it developed now, and the clarity is coming in. So that's the good news. And so now we say, well, what does this range mean? Typically means continuation. So, but now we just kind of have to wait through it. So, all right, there you go. 68,234 over there for Bitcoin. We do have one coin in the green. That's BNB. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and hop into the chat. And one other thing, per request of yesterday at 2x speed. Like, wait a minute, this is supposed to be a serious channel, not on Wednesdays.
It is Wednesday, my.
I wonder what that's like for the people who watch this back on 2x speed. They got it at 2x speed. Nah, let's go normal.
It is Wednesday, my. It is Wednesday, my.
I think I turned the volume up a little too loud. But all right, there you go. People tuning in. They're like, what is this jokester of a Wednesday? Yeah, that's what we do. If you like it, subscribe to the channel. We typically keep it very serious the rest of the time. But anyway, Wednesdays. Happy Wednesday, everybody. We made it. Craziness over there in the United States stock market. Craziness over there in crypto. But a little bit of patience, and I think we'll get through this thing okay. So we'll kind of waiting for our moments to come together, and then we'll kill it. We'll kill it. So, all right, hopping into the chat. Hey, BCB. From Everyday Airline Pilot, member for 8 months. Hey, BCB, do you see a crashing structure forming on the inverse BTC chart with 74K Bitcoin all-time high being the ending of wave 5? Well, so, you got clear 5 waves happening up in here. I'm not necessarily thinking it's crashing structure. Not necessarily yet. Like, I would consider, like, thing that would be more like just on a bigger, like, so you tend to get these 5 waves happening in each move that you end up getting. Right, that's just kind of normal. But these were like on much bigger time frames, right? So like in this circumstance where we had this one back here in 2020, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Then rolls back, and then there's your last one. If you were doing something like that, it would still be like you actually are only in 4, right? And then pulls back down in here, and then one more, right? So no, not necessarily. But thanks for being a member for 8 months. Everyday Airline Pilot, my brother. Annie Philpott had gifted 5. Thank you very much. These took a little while to show up in my feed, but I got them. Andy, and I got you at the beginning of the stream. Thank you, brother. Ryan Chase had also gifted 10. Thank you, man. I appreciate it, guys. Very generous of you. Marco, the XRP Maniac. I don't have the skills, but someone with the skills should have make a BC Backer Wednesday Frog video featuring the BC Backer. Yeah, there might be something in the pipe with that. Thank you, Marco. Slick Rice, member for 38 months. That is 3 years and 2 months. I watched your Spark token snapshot stream and joined right after. I'm still here. Keep bringing the light, BCB. Thank you for your commitment, man. It makes sense that you're 38 months. Spark token, remember? Flare. Back in the day when it was Spark token. Thank you, Slick Rice, man. 38 months. Wow. Thank you for your support. Philip, man, gifted a BCB membership. Thank you very much, Philip. Adam says, BCB, the Dow Jones Industrial Average pattern from 1/2022 today is identical to Bitcoin 4-hour pattern from, oh boy, when Bitcoin's in Wyckoff. Thoughts on XRP breaking up from a triangle if the DXY goes out? Man, you're going to make me zoom in on, like, isolate all of these different, from 1/2022, so that's when the crash starts, is identical to Bitcoin 4-hour from 2/21/21. Oh, Adam, I'm not following you, brother. I might spend 15 minutes trying to identify these time frames that you're talking about. You're talking about Bitcoin on the 4-hour. Man, I'm sorry, brother. Thoughts on XRP breaking up from its triangle if the Dow Jones goes sideways, right? I think thoughts on XRP breaking up will be the second this thing is done. If this thing is done, if this correction can get itself completed, and then we get through here, that's the most likely time for XRP to get out. Like I showed in yesterday's video, knocking down the fantasies, knocking down the narratives, whether it's Bitcoin, the altcoin market, or XRP, tends to move with the market. We're at the major resistance in here. So the timing wise of it happening, we need to get through here is what my thoughts are. And if we get a very clear correction in here, which it looks like we are, it would likely be in a moment like that. Where you would see XRP move. Not a flip of the switch. Not secrets upon secrets. Fantasies upon fantasies. But moving with the market. That's what I think. Not Oscar Hernandez. My brother. He says, backer. I loved the video yesterday. You're wasting your time with all the edits you normally do. Also, I sent you a DM on Twitter. All the love to you and your family. Okay, I got to check it out. Not Oscar. Will it show up under the Not Oscar Hernandez? There it is. Okay, I'll see it. Okay, I'll check it out. I'll check out your message later. Yeah, guys. So that was about 30 minutes of very, very minimal editing in yesterday's video. Was it tolerable? Was that tolerable with the minimal editing? I usually cut out all my breathing. I try to keep things moving very quickly. But that was a lot of video with very, very little editing. It was fine. Okay. It was perfect. Okay, cool. Minimal edit is good. Okay. That cuts down my workload tremendously. All right. Not Oscar Hernandez. Brother, thank you very much. Thank you for making me feel good about that. And the cutting on the edits and then asking everybody. AT says, not gonna lie, your breathing is hot. My number one quality, and I'm just not even letting the world know about it. Doc, everyday airline pilot says, happy Wednesday, BCB. Do you see a crashing structure forming on the inverse with the 74? Oh, man, I think you did it twice. Or maybe it came through a second time. Oh, no. So I guess I already answered it. I guess it took me a while to get to it. Everyday airline pilot. You thought maybe I missed your brother. I'm sorry, man. It just showed up on my feed late, but I got to you. I think I already answered it. Dr. Ty, but thank you for your support, man. Dr. Ty, member for 13 months, says, I want to thank the simulation god for sending the market down one more time while I be visiting my family overseas. No price checking and straight family time. Thank you for all that you do, BCB. Yeah, I've been lucky that I've gone out of town 2 times recently during, I guess this was kind of crazy. I guess it kind of was, but I really was able to not look at it when I was in Australia. And then I was out of town last week and not a whole lot was going on last week to get me just to take a break, right? So you need it. Sometimes you need it just to not look at it, and it gives you a little bit of clarity, because sometimes you're looking at stuff so much, your brain just gets stuck into seeing the same thing that you have to step away for just a minute to like reset your brain, reset your eyes and your thought process, and you come back and you look at it and you look at it in a completely different way. But have fun, man, Dr. Ty. Garlic Brad says, I cannot take my dog to the lake anymore. The ducks keep attacking him. That's what I get for getting a purebred dog. Thank you, BCB and mods. LFG XRP. Hey, PTW, did you hear that one? I can hear her walking around. I don't know if she caught it. All right, Michael J. Love, member for 12 months. Thanks, BCB, for keeping it real, dudes and dudettes. And the best thing you can do to support the channel is hit the like button. It's free. That is correct. If you're hanging out here, we got 2,400 people in here. We got 777 likes. That's a lucky number. But let's see if we can get to 1,000. That is the number one way to support the channel, whether it's videos, live streams, anything. Super chats, of course, those are always super nice. But the thing you can do every day that is totally free, that is the best way to support, is just hit the like button. And if you're hanging out, you're watching, you see in the chat scroll by, you X out the chat, you hit the like button, then you hit live chat, and you're back. Ryan Chase says, BCB, if I'm buying XRP right now, does that make me a raging dingus? I don't know if that makes you a raging dingus. I don't think so. Martin Kelly, thanks, Ryan. Martin Kelly says, hey, BCB, I'm loving the insight today. Are there any alts with only 25% profit? Would it be worth thinking about selling and buying back after the capitulation? It's kind of hard now with some of the stuff because some of them have moved down a little bit, right? Like they're not like what they're here. Some stuff's already down 20% in the market from where they're at right now. You would think that everything will take a little bit of a hit in that moment. So, for me, if I'm doing stuff, it's always with just like a percentage of the portfolio, right? Like what am I willing to do that with? Like, am I willing to do that with 10%? Am I willing to do it 20%, 30%? But I'm never doing anything with my whole bag because there's always a chance things go the opposite way, right? You get wrong-footed in some way, and figuring out, that you're not completely left behind or you're not completely slaughtered in either way. So maybe whatever you're comfortable with, what are you willing to take the risk? Right now, like, what is it, in the middle of the range? Right, so right now you're in the middle, kind of near the top. If you get a couple of bounces, maybe doing that with stops being if we get above here, right? If we get above the little peak that was set there on Monday. Mintman, so thankful for you, bro. Have a good day. Member for 8 months. Mintman, thank you, man. Thurstone, 78. No message, but first timer. Terrence Rafferty says, what is the solid support for XRP? Should we backtest 50 cents before we take off again? I don't see a reason why we need to. And what I'm kind of looking for is just like a surprise move to come out of here before that correction sets in for the market. And then when the capitulation comes, it's actually back down to here. There. That would be ideal. If we get something to actually pop out of there right now, and then as the correction ensues, it's actually a deeper pullback. I wouldn't, this gap has obviously been closed now. I wouldn't not call it necessary to come back down here. Anything can happen, but I don't see it right now. So I'm not looking for it in general, looking for 56 cents. Thurstone, again with the super chat, but no message. Thank you. Philip Mann, member for 16 months, says, I've been here much longer than 10 months, but thank you for all that you do. The day doesn't seem right when you're gone, and there's no markets in the morning. Philip, thank you, man. I got that a lot when I was in Australia, too. Even though people were there seeing me, they're like, I don't know what to do today. I don't have my markets in the morning. And for them, they don't even get to watch it live. It's mostly just on replay, which I think is how most people watch it. We have 2,000 people in here, but these things get 15, 20,000 views. So most people are watching it on replay. Chris Merrill says, your video yesterday was your best ever, in my opinion. Thanks so much for putting that together. That was a great presentation. Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, putting that PowerPoint presentation, I don't know how many hours I put into that, maybe 10 or 15 hours into the building the whole presentation. I didn't even give the whole thing in the video, but it gave you a kind of a idea of what it was like standing up in front of stage, and that's the presentation that I was delivering. And, you know, I was pretty nervous going up there being on stage, but it's a lot easier to deliver it, a presentation, when it's totally like, and that's what I kept telling myself, try to remove your opinions. So like even starting out, like the third slide is like, what we're going to be doing is talking about data and trying to remove opinions. So if you're just talking about data and you're trying to remove any opinions, but just present data, what is there to be nervous about? Nothing. It's just facts. So you don't have to be nervous about it at all. And so that's the route I decided to go in with my presentation is just give the data. And that's what you guys got to see in yesterday's video. So thank you, Chris. Taylor McLaughlin, they told us stablecoin regulation was coming. That's capitulation. Bye-bye, Tether. Man, I've been here long enough, man. I've seen the Tether FUD. Now every one of you here right now, because we don't have the retail piling back in, all of you have even seen it multiple times over now, the Tether FUD. And that's not new. That's not a 2023, 2022, 2021, 2020 thing. That's a 2019, 2018, 2017 thing. It's nothing new. Will it come one day? Who knows? But it sure is a great topic for content creators to talk about. And so I don't know. I don't know about Tether. Bread Garlic House. When we go into that capitulation, where would the price of XRP can fall to until we start to worry that structure is broken? Thanks, BCB. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to be worried about it. Again, this would be ideal, is if you actually got a pop happen right now, and then it just happens down to here. For those understanding, like this would be Wyckoff happening in here. So this is all your phases of Wyckoff. This is your spring phase of Wyckoff. This is your sign of strength escape, but then you come back to back test it in here. And for those, there's very few people here who were here during that time, but do you recall the 22.5 days? That's exactly what that structure is to backtest that area, the 22.5. So something like that, right? And that you end up coming back. Doesn't quite make it, but that area, right? You have the correction that pulls itself back. So hopefully we can get that shootout to happen right in there. And then in the capitulation, it would actually end up just being the pullback to back test that whole area. That would make it very clean. That's what that would kind of look like. So we'll see. I'll catch this one in the chat right there. M123 says, BCB, what are your thoughts on Bitcoin Weekly looking like Amazon Weekly back in 2000 with a triple peak? I don't know. We always get compared to Amazon. That's like Amazon's always the one people compare it to. Ben Heller says, anyone who complains about breathing during videos is a giant dingus. Well, the thing is, what you guys know or don't know is that I do like sometimes my videos get very long, and that's just because I get caught up in whatever I'm doing, and I don't make them really long to sit there and eat up a bunch of your time. I'm trying to get my points across as fast as I can, and then my brain just kind of goes whatever direction it is. But if I can save you any time, it's cutting out pauses, it's cutting out breathing, and it's getting rid of just dead air, wasted time. And so I do that on the videos to actually try to speed them up. And that's the whole reason why I do it. And for me personally, I have my own triggers. I cannot stand it when I'm watching YouTube videos and people do the, so what I want to talk about is that the Bitcoin price chart is going here. I can't stand that. It drives me crazy. And during live streams, I don't know. I mean, I do that stuff all the time. I'm sure of it. But in videos, I can cut that out, right? Like, and the long breaths and the long pauses and stuff. So that's just what it is with videos. It's a lot of cutting out the things that I think could trigger people because they trigger me, and then also trying to save your time. But thanks, Ben. Gino D'Amelio says, can you look at TLT, trying to get better re-identifying the crashing structure? Well, I don't know if you're going to find crashing structure in treasuries. Like, I just don't know if you're going to get that, right? Because this can just get dictated by the market. This, right? Like, this is a rate, right? So this is all dictated by what the rate is. And if the rates are changing, if the rates go higher, and if rates go to 10% or something like that, that's going to impact this thing. So I'm not necessarily sure of that. And you've gotten back down to the low here. But this, I mean, what if this goes on like, I mean, for years, right? I mean, for a decade, right? It could. It could. Right, TLT. It's for treasury yields, right? Ryan, member for 10 months. Thank you, Gino. Ryan Chase, member for 10 months. Also, your recent videos have been awesome. Great stuff, BCB. Oh, thank you very much, Ryan. I appreciate it. You guys like having videos back? Like I said, I've been like off for a few days, just working on some stuff to help get some stuff off my plate for some back end work that gets done. And the goal of that is to get more videos out, because that's what I like doing. I like the videos. Apparently, you guys are like my breathing too. Okay, Brandon Hammond. My theory. Many of the coins that have already hit their 702 are the ones that will most likely extend to their 4.236 extension. Near, AVAX, ICP, GRT, Ocean, CLV, and Jasmine. Just so happens, many of them are high dev, right? I mean, it's a good point, right? So K-shaped recovery, will everything go? No, right? Unlikely, but some will, right? And so right now we're kind of waiting on that, and that obviously would become pretty apparent if we get through that moment and who already starts that. But it's a good point and something to keep a close eye on. It's going to likely be very similar to what we saw in 2021, where it's the vast majority only go into retraces and is trying to identify the probabilities of ones that are going to do better. And right, high dev. Thirstone, BCB, can you please show us the difference between topping structure and crashing structure that will lead to a bounce? Show us the difference between topping structure and crashing structure. And typically when we have a top, we see an instant rejection. Right, that's what we typically see, and they're usually pretty violent. Like these, or like these. This is 50% on Bitcoin. We usually see pretty violent ones happen in here. The difference between a topping structure and a crashing structure is that will lead to a bounce. A topping structure leading to a bounce. I'm confused on your question, Thurston. Right, we've gone through crashing structures many, many times, and that's typically how these will end. That's typically what these are. These are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, back to wave 4. This is the one that everybody's convinced is the actual bottom, and then we have more. So that's usually our ending crash that ends up happening in here. That's our crashing structure. But topping structure that leads to a bounce, that's the one that's got me confused on your question. I'm not sure. Oscar Hernandez, hit the like, and don't forget, it's Grill Wing Wednesday. Heading home with markets in the morning. Oscar, what's up? Did you talk to PTW today? Did she say it in the chat that we're grilling wings today? Because that's what we're doing. David says PTW really does run the show. Yeah, we're grilling wings today. If you don't grill wings, by the way, you do not need to fry them. They are absolutely amazing if you cook them on a propane grill. Like, absolutely amazing. Matter of fact, let's talk about that for a second. Here's how you do it. Get all your wings nice and dried and ready to go. For me in particular, here we go. I'm going to create enemies on the channel. I like the flats. I'm not a big fan of the drumsticks when it comes to wings. I like the flats. You get way more meat. They're much easier to eat. You just pull the bones in half. You got 2 bones. You yank 1 bone out. Boom. Eat all of it. Then, so I like flats. That's what I get. And then you just get them all dried off. You maybe wash them if you want. Do whatever you want. Sometimes I'm a little lazy and I wash them. Dry them all off and then add your seasoning that you want to them. You want to know what's the bomb.com on chicken wings? Lemon pepper. Go hard. Lemon pepper. Grill them 4 minutes each side. Flip them 3 times on each side over medium heat. Living the dream, dude. Living the dream. Better than fried. Way better. Okay, we'll move on. People are like, okay, that's not why I'm here, sir. Jason Motley, new member, welcome. There we go. Oh, 42 Pro says you need to try John Henry's chicken tickler seasoning. All right. Wait a minute. I see BTW giving somebody named Ian a hard time. Ian likes boneless. And she says, that's just chicken nuggets, dude. It's true. Okay. That's it, guys. That's it for today. Maybe I'll put together a quick little video talking about this, kind of the thoughts on what it's looking like heading forward. And things are going to be okay. We just got a little bit of working out to do in here. Give it a little time. Fortunately, these things are what continuation corrections do look like. So give it some more time and we'll be all right. JJ Jacob says, what alts will you buy? EGLD, high dev, and cheap? Not sure. I've tried to look up like what to do with Multiverse X, and I'm just a little confused on it. So I don't know. Probably more Ethereum. And several other things too. But Ethereum is absolutely on my radar. So, okay. I think that's it. Let me give you the frog on this wonderful Wednesday. Inflation runs hot. Stock market selling off. A little bit of red over there in the market. But looks like we got a clear picture of the weeks ahead and just getting through that moment. And hopefully things turn out all gravy. So, all right, here we go. Happy Wednesday.
It is Wednesday, my dude. It is Wednesday. Dudes.
All righty then. Happy Wednesday, everybody. We're halfway through the week. We'll get through it just fine. Hey, we got a little bit more green over here in the market. You got 5 coins that are in the green now. Things are perking back up. You got $68,700 over there for Bitcoin. You got gold shifting back up back to 23.48. You got silver back above 28 bucks at 28.19. You got the Dow Jones Industrial Average a little bit improved, now down only 386 points, which is less than 1%, well 0.99%. You got the RTY now down, or the Russell 2000 down 2.17%, with the NASDAQ down 0.97%, and with the S&P down 0.86%. You got some stuff over here in the green, like Roblox, NVIDIA, Coinbase, Meta, and GE. Otherwise, kind of a sea of red out there in the stock market, but looks like precious metals are making a return. DXY back down below 105, and that's really our news. Inflation comes in hotter than expected. We already had that full-blown anticipation the next 5 months are going to look like that, and really just kind of getting beyond that. Looks like the Fed, no cuts in sight. And that's all right. Otherwise, we're just kind of waiting for a correction to keep on going through, and we'll go through it as time does, and things are likely going to be all right. So, okay. Oh yeah, I got to do this thing. Check out bcbacker.com. Of course, liking is the #1 way to support the channel, but of course, I do create my own content over here with no sponsors on the channel. We go with the content over here on bcbacker.com, and of course I write a newsletter as well, so you can check this out. There's over 40 videos from me here on bcbacker.com teaching you how to set up your own charts and indicators and going through structures and patterns and accumulation ranges and all that good gravy stuff over here on bcbacker.com. And of course, I write a newsletter over here on Substack. This is where a lot of the research goes in. There's a link in the description of this live stream and all of my videos. There's a link I just posted in the chat over there to check out the newsletter. They all come with audio recordings with my beautiful silky smooth voice for your viewing enjoyment or listening enjoyment while you drive your vehicle, go for a run, or do whatever it is that you do while you're in the grocery store. But otherwise, or as Oscar's driving home from work. So, all right, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll get through this together. We got some clarity over there, and we'll just kind of put in the hours, put in the days until we get to the end, and then we'll catapult this thing. But all right, guys, that is going to be it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching. If you could, please like this live stream and give it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified. Wait. All right. That's it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching. If you could, please like this live stream and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need to pick me up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.